All right, let me try to record this in one take. I want to get it out of my brain and out there in the world before I go to sleep. Otherwise, it's going to turn into a badass dream. I want it to also be a badass dream, but I want you guys to have the information, and this is important. It's based on today's post. If you haven't seen today's post, check it. Not the seed, germinating and growing, which everybody shared. The other one, which very few shared, which I think is interesting considering most of you are practitioners. The quote was, and the subject line was, "I wish we'd detected it sooner." That's a quote that I've heard over the last 23 years of being in practice. And I just thought it was an interesting statement. And then I was like, what if there were sooner? And then you just start to put things together and you start to look at it, and then you see people who are actually practicing true medicine, Dr. Cassie, and you go into cases and there were detection signs sooner. So let me just walk you through this. It's going to be really quick. Let's take an injury. First, you notice weakness increases. Just things you could do once very powerfully, very without fatigue, very easily. You can't anymore. You notice things slow and things are getting weaker. And I don't care what age you are. This has nothing to do with age or sex or education or anything. So this is just human. Then that weakness, next thing is some stiffness, achiness, body-wide or in a specific region of the body, some targeted area. And then there's some sounds coming from those joints or those areas. You got massive achiness. You got some swelling in those areas as well, and everything just starts to become real rigid. And then you have some pulls where tissue is actually getting damaged to the point that it's like stopping you in your tracks. Or you have massive spasms and lockdown, especially around the spine, because those are highly innervated with higher nerve receptors like the hands and feet. So a basic muscle splint puts you in bed, or you go to the ER because you overreact when it's actually just muscle, but you don't know because you're disconnected from your body. I'm going to get into more of that, the point of this video. Then that muscle pull or muscle splinting turns into torn ligament. So bad you go get imaged and somebody sees a herniated disc, or the pain is so bad and they find multiple bone spurs, or there's a hairline stress fracture, or it's a massive fracture and a bone is shooting out of your skin, something huge, or a massive dislocation, or just a crazy bone on bone. The bone is growing into the joint and it's just caused cysts and lipping and spurring and bone deformations and all this stuff. Okay. So the whole point of that, put a pin in that. That's musculoskeletal, but you can apply this to everything because the body's just one direction of healing. Now let's go to somebody just has a little bit of acid reflux type stuff. Then they have burping and belching, and then gas. And then they have a skin reaction of some kind. And then they have a massive sensitivity to a certain food. And then they have something with their lymph. And then they have something where you just have swollen lymph glands all the time and everything's in pain. You're just congested all the time. And then finally, something big gets you to go get an image checked and they find tumor. Okay. So let's just take those two, but apply it to anything. Okay. We're just going to do those two for the sake of brevity. But again, it doesn't matter. And for all you being like, is that the path? Is that the actual path? Stop. These are examples. There's infinite paths, but think about these concepts and principles. Try to extrapolate and use your head for just a little bit, okay? So the quote was, "I wish we detected it sooner." Detected what? The disc herniation, the bone spurs, the arthritic joint, the bone on bone, the torn ligament. I wish we would have known. I wish we could have prevented this. That's everybody's obsession, right? Because they get to that point and they're just terrified and they're left with no choice but deal with it. Massive drugs, surgery, massive herbs, even worse. Now go to the other side. Oh my God, they scared the fuck out of you with all these scans and tumors and lymphoma and all this shit and give you all these big fancy words and terrify you. And the whole thing was, I wish we'd detected it sooner. Now, the body only healing and adapting, that's the number one rule you cannot break and you have to lock down. No exceptions. The body only heals and adapts. It tried to speak to you with these minor waves of conversation that were these slight deviations from normal every day. And it's different for everybody. And what did we do? Usually ignored it. Then we go to a practitioner and we do these little things called supplements or over-the-counters or nose spray or little treatments, adjustments, or Reiki or breath work or massages or body work or cold tubbing. I wish we detected it sooner. You did, but every step you took was to make sure you didn't detect it. You did detect it and you took action, but action was the complete opposite of what the body needed at that time. Your body is so fucking dialed in to the precise, think fucking pH. If pH changes even the slightest, all you think alkaline and acid, you have any clue? If the body was off, you'd be done. It has to calibrate everything so finely tuned that if you actually connected with self and actually cut out everything and went in and felt all sensations and were aware, you could detect it sooner. But every single form of medicine, every single form of treatment, every single over-the-counter, every single herb, supplement, pill, pharmaceutical, gadget, every single one was to make sure you stopped detecting it sooner. Every single one. I'm not spouting off of this because I can't go get the licensures and the certifications and get all the shit. This is what I'm talking about. That string of line of effects that lead to the big stuff. Now, what's the big stuff? Just greater healing responses because the body and brain were like, yo, you weren't listening. So even if you are now here at this point, you're like, holy shit. Two versions of you right now. One, totally empowered. Holy shit, what the fuck have I been doing? My whole life has been to get in the way of the detection, of making changes. And it's not to fix anything. It's not to get rid of congestion. It's to change your life so your body doesn't have to use congestion. So there's two options here. Some of you are going to sit here and go, fuck yeah, man. I got to take my life back. I'm going to go this other route. Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. This is crazy. Then there's the other half of you that are terrified right now. Why is it scary? It's scary because you know you don't want to change. You know you're at that point of some version of what I talked about where the world has scared the shit out of you, especially the natural holistic freedom crowd. They don't have a fucking... They will terrify you pushing the same thing. And now you're sitting there and you're like, everything he's saying is true. Fuck. I've got a lot of work to do. I have so much, or shit, even worse, you've got a natural health practice, or you have an empire around a podcast, or you've got a supplement line, or you have a fucking gadget line, and you're an investor, you have an affiliate system, or you've got certification, degree, all these letters after your name. You're like, oh my God. Now you're terrified because you know you don't want to change. And now we're getting into actually what strength is. To be able to stand on the soles of your 2 feet and in the face of everything you've profited off of before for the truth of your body. Pivot. So, I wish we'd detected it sooner. The body is trying all the time to get your attention. It's perfect. It's perfectly getting your attention. You sense it Because everybody knows it if you talk to them. If you have conversations, it's like, holy shit. And these little micro shifts, these little micro sensations, you detect them. It's absolutely the most flawless screening system we have inside of us right now. So I wish we detected it sooner. The body will tell you years before the big, and ultimately, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. I'm so tired of seeing cinema. I'm so tired of reading. I'm so tired of hearing the way they talk about the big stuff. The big healing responses, they fucking terrify you. You don't have a chance in hell on living as long as you desire, with confidence, with empowerment. And don't make this political. You don't have a chance, because all the big stuff is just healing. It's the same as the runny nose. It's the same as the stiff joint. It's the same as the a little bit of slight weakness in my gait. So whenever this message meets you, don't worry about it. But you're one of those two people. You're either totally empowered because you're going to change everything right now, starting with all the things that get in the way to stop the detection of your body trying to get your attention to change, or you're terrified because you're like, fuck, I really don't want to change. And there's nothing wrong with you if that's the case. You have the choice. This is what's so beautiful about us, is we can choose any option we want. We do detect it sooner. We have infinite responses calibrated so finely, no man can replicate it. What do you do with this power? Just understand all the signs that are the detection is medicine. It's all the forms of medicine that have a name. Every single one of them. From breath work to energy to body to functional to integrative. Ooh, timers must be late. To integrative to nutrition to herbs to psychedelics to homeopaths to conflicts to traumas to you name it. The specialty of every single form of medicine, no matter what you call it, true medicine will have no name, is getting rid of the detection, is getting in the way of the detection process, the way it's set up. So I wish we detected sooner. Let your body do it. And then listen. And then change. But it's all going to stem from el numero uno. Espanol. Body only heals and adapts. All right, this was way longer than what I thought. Chew on that. You're either going to bed with this in your mind, or you're going to wake up first thing in the morning and have this with your morning drinks. Good night, Moon.